Everybody, welcome to another Dynamic Discussions. We are joined today with Xiaoyi Drake from the Colorado Leather Fest. We're very excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so we were just talking and you were telling me, you're just 30 some days away from this thing, huh?
Correct. We are in the final countdown.
something I always ask folks who come on about these events. Tell us a little bit, obviously, first about yourself and how you got involved with the event.
Well, Colorado Leather Fest started actually in the 80s with a couple old leathermen saying, we need something in Colorado like this, but it didn't get moving until 9 years ago. And at that point, we heard that there might be a new event coming that would focus on relationships as well as play instead of just focusing on teaching play. And my owner at the time, I am a slave, and my owner at the time was like, we're going to this meeting, girl. I'm like, okay. And by the end of the meeting, I had become the operations director for the event. I actually very much enjoyed that. Operations is the person who is on site making everything run smoothly. And in 2019, Master Trent and Slave Kelly, who were the owners of Colorado Leather Fest, realized that they were at a point where they couldn't bridge between the old leather folk and the new kinksters very well. They didn't quite understand that change in culture.
Sure.
And they needed to step back and allow some younger people up to help who maybe could help bridge that and make it to where the event was more understood and welcoming of everyone, because it's always been our theme to have it be together. And I raised my hand, and now it is my event to produce with a team of amazing people. Do not get me wrong, this is not a one-person deal by any imagination.
Absolutely. I know that every time I have someone on, I always ask the question, how many people on your team? And people have no idea when they go to these events what it takes behind the scenes to put something like this on.
Our board usually exists of between 9 and 12 members. That does not include the team leads. Like, we have a team lead for setup and teardown. We have a team lead for registration. We have a team lead for volunteers. And it doesn't include all the volunteers who actually make it happen on the weekend of. In years past, we've had a third of our attendees be volunteers and presenters.
Oh, wow. Okay. How many people usually attend?
Between 300 and 500.
Oh, very nice event.
So it's grown quite nicely from the 120 people we had the first year.
Nice. And what part of Colorado is it in again?
This year it's in Colorado Springs. It's just off I-25 and about 23 minutes from the Colorado Springs airport, about an hour from Denver International.
I grew up in the Springs, so yeah, I love it. So walk us through a day, or walk us through the event. What if people from, say, FTK say they see this, yes, I want to go, they book, they go out, what are they going to experience?
First thing is, of course, going through registration. You'll get meal tickets, you'll get one drink ticket, and then you'll get your badge that lets you into our area. We do have a mostly secured area, so we will not be having muggles wander through the kink space. Inside, there will be boot blacks. These are people who care for your fetish wear and your fetish equipment, ideally while you're wearing it, which I assure you is a lot more fun to get done than just handing it to them and walking away. And there is a silent auction. We've got 13 different vendors selling all sorts of goodies, from leather clothes to candles for wax play, rope. I think it's I don't remember if it's all bamboo and jute or if he had some silk as well last time. I do know I've spent a fair amount of money at the rope vendor's booth before myself, so. We also have a bunch of different classes. We've got a class on how to be a handler for pet play. We've got several classes on how do you communicate better so you get what you want in a relationship. how do we bridge the generational gap within our community? And what do we do to be supportive of people on both sides of it? How do we modify kink for people like me who have disabilities? I have a chronic condition. It's a genetic mutation that makes me hyperflexible. You would think this would be a great, wonderful, amazing thing for the hot kinky stuff we do, like, rope play and sex. But it actually means that I can dislocate a hip during said activities. Thank goodness I'm a masochist, or that would really suck. And so how would someone like me still be able to play with people? How would someone in a wheelchair get to try a suspension? And I've seen people in wheelchairs get suspended. So we have classes covering things like that. We have classes covering how do we make play deeper and more connective? Because it's already deep and connective, but how can we make it more of that? We have a couple classes on the woo side, because there is a bit of woo-woo that goes on. Classes about how to integrate disabilities and kink together. I know that we have one woman in our community who is an amputee and will quite happily fist you without a fist. And that is surprisingly disturbing and hot all at the same time to me. So we have classes about those things. We have classes about pet play, about power exchange dynamics, whether it be master slave or puppy handler or boy girl, all sorts of options. We will have Saturday morning cartoons from 8 to 9 on Saturday. I've actually gone back and gotten some of the vintage Bugs Bunny cartoons that I grew up with. And I hate saying that the cartoons I grew up with are vintage, but I realize that evidently they qualify these days.
Hey, listen, I understand. I totally get it.
When I hear music I listened to in high school on the oldies station, I kind of cringe and die inside a little bit, but that's okay. I have a cane half the time anyways. So we'll have Saturday morning cartoons. We're going to have little story time. We do welcome littles as well as middles. We do not actually have a play dungeon, but we do have some play socials. We've got a critters crawl. We also have some social / round tables for people who are trans and their partners, people who are individuals of color and their partners, because being trans is a different experience of kink than us individuals. I've gotten to sit in on a few different people of color discussions about the different experiences they have in kink. And I've learned a lot. One of the things we try to do is we've always tried to be accessible and inclusive, but from getting to go and listen in those discussions, I've learned a few ways to make it a little more inclusive and a little more welcoming. And that's something we're always trying to do. You will see drag queens performing, possibly even drag kings. It is traditional to tip the performers, and we will have somebody on site to exchange the $20 bills from the ATM into smaller bills for you. So if you want to tip $20 at a time, do it, please. Good causes, I promise you.
Everybody's working hard.
Yeah. We won't say no to your money because we are a nonprofit. We are an educational nonprofit. There will be a family room, which is kind of like a big oversized living room minus the TV. It is where you can just go and sit down and chat with people a little bit. You can relax.
That's nice during those events to have something like that, because a lot of it's busy, a lot of walking. We just need to take a little break.
Yeah. If you have a step count, you will hit it at a leather function. There is no way you will not hit your step count unless you've got somebody carrying you around all weekend, at which point I have envy.
Yeah, me too.
I really do. We will have interpreters, ASL interpreters during our main events, and they are willing to be contracted for individual classes as well for anyone who's hard of hearing and wants to come. Nice. I have now used up about 90% of the sign language I know. But we want to make it accessible. And then there's a social Friday night, a parade of as many different representational flags as we can find. I'm trying to get the rubber puppy flag because that one just came out during COVID and I hadn't ever seen it before, but I don't know if it's going to make it in time for our event. We had 50 different pride flags in 2019. So trying to get that one. And if anybody knows of more that are built that it turns out we don't have, please let me know. We're trying to collect them all. These are my Pokemon. You will find people who it's their first event ever. It's their first experience, to people who've been doing this for 50 plus years. And all of them are willing to share their excitement and conversations with you.
That's what matters most. Because there are so many new people coming into the lifestyle from every dynamic, from every style, from whether it's just kink or something more. So that's really good.
If you watched 50 Shades or you read 50 Shades and you think, oh my God, that was so fucking hot, come here. We want you. You're our people. You might not know it yet, but you're our people. And then we do have a community dinner on Saturday night. And it's a chance to just sit down and break bread with each other, or in my case, break gluten-free attempts at bread. Our caterer is very good about working around food allergies, thank goodness.
Very good. So on that dinner, does everybody come to that dinner?
It is included in our regular ticket prices. We do have an option for people who don't want the meals, but after the food comes out for the people who are served, everybody comes on in or is welcome to come in. Because after the dinner is when the evening contest activities start. We can have up to 6 contests. This year, we only have contestants for one of the 6. So we will be running the Colorado Master Slave Contest. This is a contest where we're trying to find people who are able to go through Colorado and teach what is this lifestyle of master slave about. There's a lot of misconceptions about it. I'm a slave, and I have been a slave most of my time in the lifestyle, and I'm going on a dozen years. And one of the first questions I almost always get asked is, well, what if he tells you to cut off your arm?
Oh God, I know.
To which my response is, why on earth would he tell me to do that? He's got too many things for me to do for him where I need my arms.
As a master who owns a slave, I can't tell how many times I've heard about the arms getting cut off, or what if you jump off a bridge, or any number of just actually idiotic comments that people make. Yeah.
And in some cases, like in my relationship, if my owner told me, hey, I want you to have sex with so-and-so, I'd be like, great, give me a condom.
Yeah.
Because that's something we've negotiated and enjoyed. But that isn't, they're already going to make sure the other person consented, have had the STI conversations with them, all of that. And people don't realize it is still a relationship. It is still consensual. There are no slave hunts if I decide I'm going to walk away.
Right.
Can't call the law and come get me.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. A lot of people who, especially like you said, are coming in the last few years of lifestyle have no idea what a master slave contest is. So what does that look like? What are you guys like? What does the contest exist? The different parts of it. What do they have to do and things like that?
Friday night, they get to come on stage and introduce themselves to all of us. We've got 2 different couples competing, and they'll come up and they'll say, hi, we're so-and-so, and here's a little bit about us. We have our pop question, which quite honestly is the most terrifying part of the contest, in my opinion. And that is where we read them a random question, which could be something like, if you're a superhero, what's your superpower and why? You have time to read the question, hand it to the MC who reads it to all of us, and then you have to answer.
Oh, okay.
I've also heard, you're given a vanilla cupcake and one of the judges. Which judges and how are you going to turn this into a scene? So it's very much about how can you think quick on your feet for when somebody comes up to you with the, well, what if they tell you to cut off your arm question?
Yep.
Or any of the other interesting questions that come up. What if they tell you to sleep with a horse? I've been asked that.
Yeah. Okay.
Luckily, I also am into pony play, so I know other ponies. I'm like, I think that could be arranged because I know other ponies. And I love fucking with people who ask me really weird questions, especially when they're at our events. I am into mind fuckery a little bit, I'll admit it. We will also, let's see, from there, the next day they have their interviews where the judges will ask them lots of questions. And those are open to the public, so the public can come in and listen and hear their answers. In the afternoon, they have to give a 10-minute mini presentation because it is a teaching title. We expect you to be able to teach. We need to know you can teach. And that we really encourage the public to attend if they aren't in one of the other classes, because that way the attendees can ask questions after the presentation as well as the judges. Wow, because the judges have all been doing this for a little while. They aren't going to have that newcomer question of, so you taught about TPE. What is TPE?
Sure.
Which is an important question that we sometimes forget. And when we speak these shorthands to each other at conferences, we forget there might be that new person who doesn't understand what TPAE means. For you, those of you listening, it's total power exchange, and it usually refers to the transfer of authority or power in master slave or dom submissive relationships. Saturday night, they have to give us speeches, and each contestant gets 2 minutes to do a speech. And I think there's one other thing Saturday night, but I don't remember what it is. The speeches are the big one. It might be that the pop question got moved. And then all the points are scored. You have to earn a minimum of 70% of the points to win. And there have been contests I've been to where somebody didn't win. There was no winner because nobody made enough points. So it takes a lot of guts to compete because of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if both our couples have over 70 points, whoever has the most points will become our Colorado Master Slave for 2022. And we will cheer for them. And if they're up for it, throw them into here's the photo area. If you want photos with your new title holders, take the pictures over here. We do have restricted areas to do photos in because we want to make sure we don't out anyone accidentally. Nobody needs to lose their kids or relationships or jobs because they showed up at our conference.
Absolutely.
We take that very, very important because it's a serious issue. People do still lose these things just because they have kinky, sexy times at home in the bedroom where most people would have their sex times away from their kids. It's not different, but the perception is that it is.
Absolutely. And it should be a standard that everyone knows. You don't take photos. You don't leave your phone away. You don't need to take cameras, pictures, things like that. So I'm going to ask you a question because you brought it up that a lot of people don't want to speak about today. But you in the beginning, you talked about trying to bridge that gap between whatever you want to call it, traditional, old guard, whatever you want to call it, and the new folks coming in and the differences there, right? So what are some things that you guys are doing to bridge that gap? And what are your biggest challenges in doing so?
Some of the things we're doing is currently on our board, we only have one member who's over 45. So we have a younger board that is a little more in tune with the current culture. We also still have.
Is that designed that way, or is it just the way it's turned out that only one person at, say, 9 or 12 brings any traditional to the table?
Well, we also still have Master Trent and Slave Kelly as MRS directors, is what they wanted to be called. So we pick their brain a lot to get the old version. And there's been a couple of us on there who have been doing it long enough that we're in touch with that old values. We understand the differences. And some of the things we're doing is both having members of those older traditions. Our keynote speaker is Sir Cougar. He is a lesbian dyke who found the lifestyle when he was 14. He has been a full career Marine at one point and is in a relationship that has been around over 20 years. So he literally was sneaking into gay bars and leather bars at the age of 14. And we have people like him who are doing an open Q&A for people of the newer generation to learn about, hey, what was it like back when you had to sneak in, or you had to not
You
talk
couldn't
about
talk
what
about
you
it at all.
were? I mean, he couldn't use the pronouns he most of his life. And so we have sessions like that where the younger generation can learn some about the older stories. But we also have the socials. Our leather family dinner is not a high protocol family dinner. A lot of people have seen leather folks at events, and we're in high protocol showing off for each other, which makes it look like we all have a bunch of sticks up our butt and are pretending to be British. Now, some people will be in high protocol, but it's not expected for the event to be, because we found that high protocol is really off-putting to the younger generation, in part because they don't know the rules of it, and in part because they don't
Want to learn?
understand it. They don't see how that's fulfilling. Now, for me, protocols are a fetish, so it's super fulfilling. But just like any fetish, it's not everyone's.
Sure.
We are reaching out to the different younger generation groups around and finding out, okay, what are you interested in? We're remembering that no matter how protocol we may have come over the years, the thing that got us all interested in this is hot, kinky sex. So we do that. We talk with them. We're working with people on the POC and Indigenous individuals. What do you need to feel welcome at an event? How can we be more welcoming to you? And helping demystify some of those deeply held secrets that you had to whisper a secret word and knock 3 times in order to get into an event to learn.
Sure.
It used to be that each one teach one was a perfect way for our community to grow. But that was also really before social media. And it was before Zoom classes for sure, and
yeah.
YouTube.
You could never do what we can do today back then in any way, shape, or form. Because it had to be touch. You know, now you can throw on a Zoom and have 1,000 people on and train and share and not have to worry about what anyone says about it for the most part, you know.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't go out as an active queer, even back in high school, without 100% getting beat up.
Sure. Yeah.
And I also couldn't be queer because the only people who were queers in my day were gay men. I love the fact that I can see my nibblings. For those of you who don't know, that's the gender neutral term for siblings, children, nieces and nephews, and now the non-binaries as well. My nibblings, my older 2 nibblings, are able to be out as she, her in college. I couldn't.
No, yeah.
My 12-year-old one has started dabbling with, I don't know if I'm trans or not. I might not be straight. We couldn't even ask those questions, even if we knew it. We couldn't say anything about it. So we're understanding that these people are growing up in a completely different environment. My 2 older nibblings actually are of an age they can come to my club, which for those of you who have young nibblings or children understand the mind break that does in my head, because in my brain I'm still 18. So I get to talk with them about their experience. I get to talk with the T&G folk who show up now, or the new people who show up, because it's not just these younger generation age-wise. There are people in their 50s, 60s, 70s. I've even had an 80-year-old individual who is just finding the scene now.
Yep, absolutely.
And so it's asking them, what can we do to be welcoming? What would you like to learn? What can we do to support you? How can we make this stuff relevant to you? Because we've all seen something, whether it was 50 Shades of Grey or The Secretary or The Story of O. We found a book. We found, maybe it was even some sort of Marquis de Sade book that got us interested.
Something as simple as an Instagram post that sparks something in your mind.
Exactly.
You never know where it comes from.
So we do a lot of working with that and talking about it amongst ourselves, and even on occasion going, okay, so we don't know how to make this work. we don't understand. For example, right now, we have an Instagram account that nothing is getting posted to because we had a social media person years ago who was good at that and could help us with that and understood Instagram. And now we don't. Because I'll be honest, I am not a tech guru in any way, shape, or form. I have 2 tech team members on my team, and I call them if my cell phone doesn't work. That's my level of technical experience. So TikTok, how do we TikTok? What should we know about TikTok as we go into this event? We ask the people who are using it so we can understand what to expect.
Absolutely.
There is one other big part of the event I'd love to chat about if we've got time.
We have all the time in the world. I'm in no rush.
Okay. I didn't know what the schedule was or how long
There's
these
no
were.
time
I don't want to.
other than I want everyone to totally get to know this event. And just so you know, on a side note, I actually, FTK, we own a media company. So if you guys ever need help, we would definitely volunteer our time with social media, help you guys. We have a whole team and we would be glad to help you in any way. You just keep that in the back of your mind.
Oh, I will keep that in the back of my mind and expect a call about 2 weeks after the event when my brain reboots. Most people don't realize that for an event like this, it does take a large team of people, and it also is exhausting and draining. Yeah, our volunteers will be working for 3 days over the weekend. I have been working on this literally since 2020 while we produced 2 virtual versions to make this happen. And for the past 75 days, it has been every day a full-time job to make the event happen when you're the producer. So there's a lot that goes into it. And there's a lot of love and passion from all of my board members that go into it too. Yeah. So we take a couple of weeks right after the event and we fall down and just don't move, don't talk to me. Yes, I love leather. Yes, leather's sexy and hot. I don't want to hear the word for a day. And the people who know me very well are going to hear that and wonder if I'm feeling all right, because I do love leather so much. This year, we're getting to do something different. This year's theme is healing together, because after the past 2 years, we all have emotional pain, physical pain, deaths that have happened. And so we've added in a ritual hook pull. There are countries around the world that have variants of a hook pull, where needles or wood or something is placed into the skin, and it can be front or back, where bells can be sewn onto you. And it becomes a transformative ritual of some sort. Now, when I say ritual, I don't necessarily mean, ouch, hi kitten. Sorry, sharp claws in my lap. Come up here so people can see you, because I know that's what you want.
Baby. Hi, baby.
Hi. She is chaos incarnate. She will not be at the event. She will be at home getting spoiled by the cat sitter. And yeah. Beautiful. She has helped create this event too, because she keeps me sane.
That's it. She just wanted to say hi.
That was it. Exactly. She's like, oh, you're on a Zoom call. I have to do this. She's been very well trained in the past 2 years that she has to hop on Zoom. So everybody goes, oh. We will actually have a class explaining how our hook pull is not appropriation. So I won't go into that now.
Sure.
But we have a team of trained piercers, and these are temporary piercings. They will not be permanent. And you find the spot that's the right spot, and they know how to find the right spot. I don't. I am somebody who gets pierced instead. There's drumming. This year it will be recorded drums with people who choose to. There will be physical drums there that they can add and combine with the recorded drums. Sure. So we get that bridge between the recorded drums of the past and the current drums at it. And there will be a few things where once the hooks are in your skin, you pull. There's a cord that gets tied to them, and it has a carabiner on the end of it. And you can hook the carabiner onto different things in the room or to other people. And to the music, you can pull, you can dance. We have someone who is doing the shamany bit for this, where he will bring drums, or if need be, get right in your face and scream at you until you scream back, to help get you into that in-between realm, that realm where my experience during COVID involved a lot of friends dying. Many of my friends are AIDS positive, HIV positive. And at the beginning, we didn't know how to keep ourselves safe, really. And on top of that, my birth mother died during this time. And then more friends kept dying. And some got hospitalized and some moved away. And I moved twice during it. And job changes and all this stuff is built up inside me. And it got to a point where I couldn't cry about it anymore. Because if I did, I'd have been non-functional because I would have cried for 2 solid years. And so there's this part of me that's aching inside that needs to cry. But especially right now, while I'm producing an event, my head is way too busy to allow that release to happen. With the hook pull, the hooks go in, you start the drumming, you start the dancing, and it puts you in a trance-like state where whatever's too busy up here to let out the pain in here goes away. And the pain can come out, and you can cry, or you can scream with laughter, or you can orgasm. All of these have happened in hook pulls before. So please don't inhibit yourself with it.
Release it however you can.
And it releases and it comes out. And then you keep dancing a while longer. And it's almost like the dance becomes its own aftercare. And the dance is the same as a pull. Some of us dance moves, some people, I saw one person once where they hooked it to something above them and they tried break dancing underneath. And I'm like, wow, that is really intense and really cool. I do not have the skills to do that.
Either.
So it becomes a very spiritual but not religious experience. And that is something that we are offering for Sunday afternoon. It's the only activity that's taking place after our keynote brunch. And our caterer, when I said, yeah, we have a brunch on Sunday, she's like, it's Mother's Day. We could do something really big. We're going to have salmon and cream cheese and this and that. And we'll have a tray full of gluten-free sweets and a tray full of non-gluten-free sweets on opposite ends of the thing. And I'm like, you're hired.
You're hired.
When she started talking about the prime rib cutting station for the brunch, I'm like, I'm sold. I'm a carnivore. I'm sold.
I'm going.
And during that time, we'll still have the family room open as well, so that people who want to sit and talk, or as people are done with the drumming and they need to just sit and recenter with other people before they leave, are welcome to sit in that family room and just be.
You know,
and
it sounds like it's really setting something special up.
That's the goal, especially after 2 years of only being virtual, not seeing each other. 2020 was the year I was going to shadow Master Trent and actually learn how to produce an event. And well, then 2020 happened. As we all know, nothing went to plan. And so we need to celebrate where we are now, because we have made it through the worst parts
Absolutely.
of COVID.
Absolutely.
I'm really hoping there aren't any new mutation strains that make it to where it's not the worst part we've survived through.
We got to stay positive, man.
Yeah, we've gotten to the point where we can actually gather again and hopefully not kill anybody by simply breathing the same air. We've gotten to the point where schools can function again. So we need to celebrate that, but we also need to mourn and grieve all we've lost over these past 2 years. The things we learned, like the existence of colorblind racism, that isn't something most of us actually knew existed before this last Black Lives Movement. And I don't know about anybody else, but when I realized the disservice I've been doing to my people of color friends by saying, I see you as a person, not as a Black person, I need to grieve that, because I was hurting people I cared about unintentionally. And I don't need them to forgive me. I need to forgive me. And that's part of what we're hoping to do with the healing together. As any therapist will tell you, if it's kept in silence and it's kept in the dark, shame grows. And Brene Brown will tell you shame is the worst, most useful way to make sure there is no connection with others. So by healing together, by having opportunities for us to talk with each other about our hardships, talk with each other about our successes, and then having an option. You don't have to get hooked to be in the hooking pull. You can go in, you can watch, you can dance, you can drum. There are ways to participate without bleeding.
Okay.
If blood makes you pass out, please stand in the hallway outside and enjoy the music of the hook pull, because there is blood in there. And I don't want anybody passing out. That's usually a bad thing. If we're going to do that, please come to me personally and negotiate that with me. That way I can have the right spotters in place at least.
Need some mattress or something. So let me ask you, what are the things, this sounds like, I wish I could be there this year. It sounds like something that's going to be an amazing event that you guys have put so much work and effort into. Where can people go to register and get set up? What do you want to go to the website for that?
Yes, it's coloradoleatherfest.com, and it will be event info 2022.
Woohoo!
Right under that, you will be able to find our presenters, our classes, where to register, how to register. We do have one serious downside, especially since we are now living in the technological age. And I'll be honest, this one pisses me off too. Our hotel was sold to a new group in January. They do not have the way to do discount code registration links for us. So in order to get the 119 a room night that we are guaranteed for people who attend Colorado Leatherfest, you have to call the hotel in person to book your room.
Well,
it sucks. I hate that. If I could change it, I would. But the new corporation that bought it out doesn't have that booking site link set up yet, and they won't before our event. However, you can come in Thursday and leave Monday morning and still get the 119 a night for 2 queens or a king if you call the front desk and tell them you're with us.
Perfect.
So it's a pain in the ass, and I apologize. I'd love to have it be online. I prefer booking my room that way too, but even I have to call them and talk to the front desk about this.
It's only another 10 minutes.
Sorry.
Time. You get to talk to somebody, say hello, it'll be fine. What else would you want people to know? I mean, we've covered a lot here. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you'd want everyone to know about?
The only other thing I'd want everyone to know about is don't be afraid to ask. If you've got questions, toss it on our social media. If you're there in person, ask. I will be wandering around through the entire event. Ask me questions. If I don't know the answer, I know somebody who knows the answer. And if I don't know somebody who knows the answer, I know somebody who knows somebody who knows the answer. We'll track it down for you. We actually encourage everybody to introduce themselves as, hi, I'm xiaoyi. My pronouns are she, they. So we encourage people to introduce each other with their pronouns so that, in this case, I've chatted with you online, so I know referring to you as sir is acceptable. But when you don't know somebody's pronouns and you're like, hi, I'm xiaoyi, my pronouns are she, they, you give them the opportunity to then respond with their name and their pronouns. And if they just respond with their name, there's nothing going wrong with, oh, wonderful, nice to meet you, Matt. I didn't catch your pronouns. What were they?
Gotcha.
Because we want to respect everyone's identity and everyone's being. And, maybe you came in and you're a master or a mistress and you want a slave to serve you for the weekend. Come talk to me. Ask how that can be done. And I'll explain to you what you need to do to try and find someone who might be up for serving you the weekend. I do not have slaves on staff who are sitting there waiting to serve people. Just as a fair disclaimer, this is not xiaoyi's hookup service at CLF. But I can help you learn what you need to know to find that. Or if you're somebody who wants to be in service to someone for a weekend, again, I can help you learn what you need to know and how you can connect with people to make that work and do that. Service dates for events are fabulous things.
I bet.
I was self-owned for about 7 years of my time in the community, and I would go to events and connect with people to serve them for the weekend, or connect with them ahead of time so that I could serve them for the weekend. It's a wonderful thing to do, and it's a great way to get a little bit of mentorship about events or a little bit of feeling protection while you're at events. And while Colorado Leatherfest is not focused on hookup, if you manage not to have fun, sexy times of some sort or feel aroused at all during my event, and you are not ace or otherwise not wanting to feel aroused at my event, please come talk to me, because I want to know how you manage that. We will have hot, sexy people dressed in leather, rubber, corsets, pony gear, puppy gear, kitty gear, Vittles gear. We may even have a furry or two. We're trying to get our furry community more involved with our event as well. And next year, we'll even have furry presenters.
Really cool.
Yes, because if it is part of kink, it is part of leather culture as far as I'm concerned. And since it's my event, that's what matters, damn it. Listen to the slave roar. So yeah, if it's kink, you're leather. Maybe you're a leather that wears rubber and you're rubber. Come on in. We love rubber. I got bootblacks who know how to love on rubber, and we never get enough rubber here in Colorado because 90 to 100 degree days over the summer, rubber. I mean, it's better than being a rubber person in Arizona.
It is. Absolutely. Listen, thank you so very much for taking the time with us. It has been an absolute blast. I hope that you will come back and let us know afterwards how it went. And again, if there's anything that we can do to help, we will be glad to do it.
I would be delighted to come back and let people know how it went. I may even see if I can get a couple of my board members or people who attended to jump in and join us as well. We will have a space at Colorado Leatherfest for people who want to be interviewed to share some of their stories and their excitement. We did that in 2019, and a few of those videos are up on our website now. We're working on getting the formatting right to get more of them up. We had a minor technical glitch of some sort where the file was saved as a doodad instead of a thingamajigger. So we're having to convert them all. I see you actually speak tech. But I would be delighted to, and we would be delighted to learn your story and what you're thinking. How's the events been for you during the time there? And even if you are brand new and this is your first event ever, and you've been in there for a full 5 minutes, you've got a story to share. You've got a story about how did you get to where you're now showing up at Colorado Leatherfest?
Absolutely.
Were you online? Were you visiting your Free the Kink Facebook group and you saw this? And you decided, oh my God, this is fabulous. Tell me that story, share it with us. Because it might not be this year, but next year, there's going to be somebody else who's brand new going, oh my God, I don't know if I can go to that event. It looks really, really official and formal. And oh my God. And then they'll hear your interview online saying, it was my first time ever and I've shown up and it feels good, or I'm feeling really overwhelmed. So they'll know what to expect. And if you are feeling really overwhelmed or it feels good, please let us know so we can help make things as comfortable as they can be, with the knowledge that there will be potential triggers. I live with PTSD, so, you know, it could happen. If there are not cracks of single tails, I'll be surprised. We do have a cigar social. I forgot to mention that.
Oh, great.
So for those who enjoy cigars, feel free to bring them on down. We'll have people who can help with teaching you about cigars and cigar service if you want. A limited amount of cigar play can be taught, but since it has to be done outside in an area where people could peek through the curtains, we have to restrict how much cigar play can be done. Sure. If you're sitting here going, cigar play, what's cigar play? Please feel free to reach out to me, xiaoyi, xiaoyi. You can find me on almost all social medias. I respond fastest on FetLife and Facebook. And I can get you connected with information about cigar play or tell you when my next cigar play class is, because I also teach that. It's so much fun. So hot, literally and figuratively.
One of my favorites.
I did not think it was going to be one of mine, but about 30 seconds after lighting my first cigar, it was. So we do have a cigar social, one official one, and I suspect there'll be at least 2 unofficial ones. So come on out, hang with us, have fun, dress in your sexy clothes, meet a bunch of other fellow twisted, warped, weird, fun, kinky people. And let's come together and just heal together some and continue moving forward in our journeys as we can.
Heck yes. Free the Kink. Make sure you guys support the Colorado Leather Fest in any way you can and get out to the event. I sure wish I could come this year. I would have so much fun. Thank you so very much. I cannot thank you enough for coming on and spending the time with us.
Truly my pleasure. I hope to see as many of you as I can, May 6th through 8th this year in Colorado Springs. And for those who are busy, like our wonderful host here, I hope to see you in 2023.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.